Hi there. My name is Kay Moon, and I am a Western astrologer and twin flame channel. And this is a reading, an astrology reading for the Aquarius full moon. This is a very interesting, very illuminating full moon for everyone. This full moon is full of exposure of patterns of codependence and patterns of places where service that we've rendered or things that we have committed to have run their course. And it's time to update agreements, update contracts, change the way that we are interacting in some way. There's an overarching energy here of really coming to terms with the necessity of looking at how we've shown up in our relationship to others and either betrayed or abandoned ourselves or betrayed or abandoned them or our principles or things that are more in alignment with our true selves and our true purpose. So I'll get into some of the aspects here and how that's showing up. But if you're starting to find yourself becoming clear that there are certain things in the way you've been relating with others that isn't working for you, it's because it's not working for you. And this is the moment in time for that awareness to have arisen and for you to do the work of starting to make changes. There's going to be a series of retrogrades between now and the end of the year. Like as of June, we really entered a retrograde heavy cycle that will last until the end of this year. Where the illumination that was provided to us through the Jupiter retrograde and this full moon, now Jupiter's direct as of this past week, is now saying to us, all right, I get it. I get it where I haven't been true to myself. I get it. And the remaining retrogrades of the year will move us from awareness and into action. So let's go ahead and have a look at some of this and how it plays out here. Overall, the direction that we're all invited to move toward is this North Node in Cancer, which brings us all into an energy of self-care with so much energy here in Leo. There's just a lot of focus on self-sovereignty at this time. We've got Mercury consciousness, Sun instincts, Venus attraction and what we're drawn to and what's drawn to us. We've got Mars here, all about motivation, drive, and ambition. And then Juno really having had Juno and Mars having had that longest stay here in Leo, only recently accompanied by Venus, Sun, and Mercury. This Juno-Mars conjunction that has gone on all through the time we've been in Leo has really been about asking us, what is our motivation when we're partnering with people? And this can be in the world of work. It can be, romantic partnerships. It can be, partnerships we have for other economic reasons or for housing reasons. The question that this North Node is putting to us all is, are your motivations true for you? And with this particular moon, where have you been untrue to yourself in these motivations? Because this full moon really sits opposite that Sun-Venus conjunction and this here Juno-Mars conjunction. Venus conjunct the sun, it's interesting. I was listening to another astrologer, Molly McCord. I'll link this video below. She had an interesting video about Venus cycles, because Venus only conjuncts the sun in 5 signs. It never conjuncts the sun in any of the other 7 signs of the zodiac. And it conjuncts the sun in the same sign once. I believe it's every 4 years. I'll link it. She goes into detail about it. But every time that happens, you can look to see a very particular pattern emerging in your life. Now, in my chart, where I have Venus conjunct the sun is in a place of business, and in a place of money. And so this particular conjunction of Venus and the sun has brought to bear for me the resolution of a particular issue that I was dealing with in my life, that had to do with money and certain other things pertaining to that. That was a very long process that started actually around a Venus conjunct the sun cycle several years ago. So if you want to have a look at that in your chart, it's actually been, for me, like a really good thing, but it also can bring certain closures depending upon what's going on for you. Let me know. Shoot me an email at chrysalismoon@gmail.com, KRYSALIS moon, MOON @gmail.com. We'll have a look at that Venus-Sun conjunction in your chart and what's needed and what you're called upon for at this time, and what new cycle is beginning. But I'll also link that video from Molly McCord below, so you can get the overview of what a Venus conjunct the sun cycle has potentially brought to bear in your life before now. So you can study the pattern of your life and gain illumination and have your own intuition start to work with you on how the energies are playing out for you. With this Venus conjunct the sun, just generally speaking, this would have brought illumination about some things around love and some things around money, very generally. And specifically, it's overall bringing illumination about the patterns in what we're drawn to and the patterns in what's drawn to us. What are our patterns in terms of what we allow ourselves to feel attracted to here? Simultaneously in Leo, there's also this Mercury trine Chiron here out in Aries. And anytime you have a trine, a 120-degree angle between 2 planets, what you're getting here is you're getting this harmonious flow of energy where they work together well and they bring out the best in one another. And with Chiron trine Mercury, this is bringing a healing because the outer planet has the most influence on the inner one, the faster moving planet. Chiron is bringing a healing to the ways we communicate with ourselves. Both Aries and Leo are very self-centered, or centered in self. The phrase self-centered can have a negative connotation, but centered in self, centered in self-sovereignty is what I'm trying to communicate here. There's a healing in the ways we're speaking to ourselves going on and what we're thinking about ourselves. Because Mercury is thought, it's also communication. And that's really a big deal, given that this particular full moon is exposing so many of some of the places where we've shortchanged ourselves in our connections with others, or where we have allowed others to shortchange us. That's the illumination for this full moon. And with so much energy here in the sign of self-sovereignty, Leo, the sign of the king, this particular full moon is showing us like, okay, we got to figure out some new boundaries, people. Like, and that's me saying that, like, to the people in my world about myself. That's you saying that to the people in your world about yourself. We got to write some new scripts, and allowing that healing awareness to come in, specifically because we've been in this larger cycle of Jupiter. Here's Jupiter being retrograde, and it just having gone direct. And now Uranus retrograde, literally within the same, almost the same period of time. There's this overlap here because both Jupiter and Uranus really represent our connection with the divine, our connection with God. God as a benefic for us, someone that brings us, spiritual enlightenment, but also God as a transformative force in our lives. With that overlap, Jupiter really forced us to all seek, Jupiter retrograde season from April to August forced us all to seek light within, as it may have felt during this time period that the light from without went out, where it almost may have felt at its very worst, that God withdrew from your life in some capacity, and at its very best, that you gained a lot of internal insight and a lot of internal awareness about who you are as a reflection of God. With Uranus overlapping with that cycle, the way I read, a lot of people read Uranus in very different ways, but what Uranus has been revealed to me as a symbol of is the divine. It's God without, God within, and God without. God without, Uranus now going retrograde, again, is this kind of withdrawing of the outer light, kind of forcing us to bring our light that we discovered on the inside out into the world. There's this kind of larger cycle of Jupiter Uranus retrograde. They don't necessarily, they're in conjunct in the chart, but they're doing this particular dance where, first we had to start seeking light within with the Jupiter retrograde, and Uranus was direct, and then there was this energy of God supporting us seeking that light within. Jupiter's now direct after having gone through retrograde period. I hope I said that right. Jupiter went retrograde, Uranus was direct. We had to seek our light within. God supported that. Jupiter's now direct. Uranus is now retrograde. And now there's this energy of taking that light that we found within ourselves in the earlier part of this year and applying it outwardly to the other areas of our life, while God stands back and says, I created you in my image. Do what I created you to do, like be a light in this world. So really, really powerful cycle this year. It's a dance of relocating our own inner divinity inside of ourselves and restoring ourselves to our own divine knowing, our own intuition, restoring ourselves to our own creative capacity as reflections of the divine. So this is overall, our year of God letting us find out what we're made of and who we truly are. So that's a very significant energy playing out during this time, because in between the last full moon and this full moon, we had that exchange of Jupiter moving out of retrograde and direct, and Uranus moving out of direct and going into retrograde. So I wanted to really highlight that at this full moon, as it was revealed to me only at this full moon, the significance of it. So some of the, exposure of these unhelpful patterns has to do with places. So we've got Pluto here in Capricorn and Vesta here in Taurus. This again, trine energy, harmonious flow, but with Pluto retrograde, Pluto being life, death, and rebirth cycles. And Pluto having been doing this dance with the South Node and Saturn all year long, there may have been more death cycles than life cycles for some of us. And with Vesta dancing in trine with Pluto, there's this harmonious flow of energy around the exposure of places where we have undermined our own sovereignty, in part due to codependence with others. In particular, Taurus and Capricorn, this is just straight up about financial independence. This is about staying in work situations that no longer serve us, and that getting exposed under the light of this full moon. This is about staying in relationship situations for financial reasons, when the relationship has clearly run its course. And so with that harmonious flow of energy, Vesta being about that which we consider holy, that which we consider sacred, and Vesta sitting out here in Taurus, one of the individual signs, in the first 4 houses of the zodiac, Taurus representing the second house. There is this little bit here of like, gentle nudge from the universe. I need you to come home to me. I need you to come back to who you really are. And with this Pluto going retrograde, there's a bit of a, that harmonious flow saying, and now we will make it easy for you to exit. Take this exit. Walk away now. It will feel better if you take the life, death, rebirth cycle today than if you do it later. So, endings for many of us never quite feel great. None of us want things to end that we've invested time or money into. However, this is a moment of, as a full moon, completion, and taking the opportunity to recognize an ending is upon me. It's time to complete. And part of why I say that this is so much about relationships is because Aquarius is a relating sign. Aquarius is the sign of the people, and its relationship to the king, the sign of Leo. Aquarius is a sign of service to others. And we have at this full moon, in the trining sign of Libra, and it's been here all year long, these 3 heavy transformational hitters. We've got Makemake, the shaman's asteroid in Hawaiian Hawaiian mythology. We've got Haumea. She's the creation goddess in Hawaiian mythology. And then we've got Pallas Athena, Athena being protection and feminine protection, no less. So with this energy here in Libra all year, we have been asked to get deep, get real, get honest about what it is we're trying to create in relationships, while the divine really works with us on a shaman's journey toward becoming healed in our own right in relationships. And specifically, this is with Pallas's dance with Haumea here and trine to this full moon. This is about learning tough lessons about protecting our own creative energies, protecting our own creative life force. And by creative, I mean creative in all senses. Tough lessons about, our creative offspring in terms of our children, children we want, children we have, our creative offspring in terms of our businesses and our ideas, things that we're meant to bring forward into this world. This full moon trining this dance between Haumea and Pallas is about exposing what needs to be done in order to truly protect our creative energies. And where it's time to let certain spoken and unspoken commitments to serve others come to an end so that we can actually give birth to that which our soul is called to do and to serve our soul missions. So it is a really deep full moon, really deep. All of this, again, as I said, is happening under this North Node in Cancer, South Node in Capricorn. This has been here for the majority of the year at this point, North Node in Cancer, South Node in Capricorn, with a Saturn conjunct that South Node. You know, Saturn really represents boundaries and structure. And with the Saturn conjunct the South Node, this is now the dissolution of certain outer and earthly structures in Capricorn, earth sign, physical world, so that we can move toward our North Node destiny of truly caring for ourselves and one another in a way that says, hey, like, I'm here to really be in service to, you know, my soul mission, and I care deeply about making sure that I fulfill on that. Now, interestingly, you know, there's a choice here, because also hanging out in the background, as it's been almost all year, we've got Eris trining Pholus here. And it's a wide orb, 5 degrees, but an Eris trine to Pholus, I won't get into the mythology of both of them right now, but Eris really represents spite and discord and just kind of outwardly sowing seeds of resentment. And Pholus really represents self-sacrifice in places where we have become collateral damage to other people's issues, other people's drama, because we let ourselves become that collateral damage. So, you know, it's interesting with this energy has been there all year long. But again, as I said, it's only been pointed out to me at this full moon. And I believe the reason that it was really shown to me to look at this full moon, because this is our choice to either step into this higher calling, or this low vibrational energy here is feeling sorry for ourselves and resentful of others for places where we've not taken full responsibility for wrong sacrifices that we have willingly made. So I'm going to say that again because it's heavy. We have a choice here about whether or not we are going to truly step into our divine mission by letting go of patterns of relationship that no longer serve us, or whether or not we're going to take the easy out and feel sorry for ourselves and resentful of others for where we have not taken full responsibility for wrong sacrifices willingly made. This is, you know, oh, poor me, so-and-so doesn't want me, looking at the glass half empty, I have too much on my plate, so I can't do what I'm truly called to do. I can't fulfill on my soul mission. You know, they did this, and they said that, and therefore that means, you know, that I'm just stuck with a loss here. Well, this energy is asking us to own up to where we've overgiven and overstepped either their unspoken or spoken boundaries or our own unspoken or spoken boundaries. This energy in the background really represents a choice in terms of our perception. And again, that's Chiron and Mercury here saying you get to choose how you're going to speak to yourself about yourself. Who are we in the face of our own bad choices? And no choice is bad. It's all learning. But it's like there are things that we can now see under the light of this full moon that didn't work out. Who are we in the face of those things not working out? Who are we when God says, I made you strong enough and smart enough to save yourself from yourself? Who are you? So, yeah. Whew. It's intense. This is intense stuff. So, you know, sit with this. Sit with this stuff. There's definitely some spiritual guidance available for you around this. With all of this energy here in Pisces, we've got Neptune, we've got Lilith, we've got Nessus. And we've also got coming up here a Jupiter Neptune square for the third time this year, as Jupiter has gone retrograde. It squared Jupiter squared Neptune in January. It squared Neptune again in June, and it's about to square Neptune again in September. And there's a choice with this energy. You know, in traditional astrology, Jupiter square Neptune has this kind of energy of like, you know, self-deception, kidding ourselves about the truth. However, as Jupiter moved retrograde and then now is direct again, the truth is known. It's out there, or in here, I should say. It's inside of us. We know what it is, and we have this opportunity with this Neptune square to either deepen our spirituality or heighten our self-deception. There's a choice. There's a real choice here. So with this Pisces stellium, specifically the conjunction of Nessus, which tends to represent obsession, and Lilith, which is really, you know, a my way or the highway energy. Like, I'd rather have nothing than have something that's less than what I want. There's just this, there's a need to find our own way and to do it our own way on our spiritual path. There's a real need for us to call upon, you know, the spiritual truths that we know resonate for us and kind of pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps at this moment in time, to really seek our own internal guidance, while also honoring and recognizing the truth that has been revealed to us under the light of this full moon during this now Jupiter direct cycle. Yeah, big stuff. The final energy here that was kind of revealed to me to have a look at is this Chiron opposite Makemake. Chiron represents the wounded healer, and Makemake represents it's the shaman's asteroid. Makemake is really the energy of having gone through a great trial to come back with great wisdom for our tribe. And so with Chiron opposing Makemake, and then Chiron being in the sign of the self, Aries, and Makemake being the sign of partnership, Libra, there is a little bit of an internal feeling all year here of the feeling quite torn between healing ourselves and healing our connections. I can either work on this with you or I can do me. And you may have seen this playing out in some of your connections where people are very clearly saying, I got to do the Chiron thing, and I got to heal me right now. I can't be connected with you because I got to heal me. While there's others of you who are making the choice, like, I'm okay. Like, I would prefer to be doing, some healing of this connection. Um, and so, under the light of this full moon, as I've said, again, there's this big energy here of where have you overgiven? Where have we overstepped and not really? And now our cup is empty. Where is it time to complete certain ways that we aren't fully stepping into this sovereignty, and where is it time to surrender to our self-sovereignty by completing unhealthy patterns of service to others that no longer serve us. So it's a heavy full moon, fam. It's a heavy full moon. I trust that if you need a reading, you know where to find me. You can email me at chrysalismoon@gmail.com, KRYSALISMOON@gmail.com. It might be helpful to look at where this return to sovereignty is happening in your chart. And what you're specifically being asked to focus on in terms of your sovereignty. I know for me, at this point in time, is definitely about alchemical cycles and money stuff. It may be about something different for you, depending upon what house that falls in. So a personal reading may actually be very helpful to you at this time. Yeah, and this Capricorn South Node dance with Saturn here may also help to look at what you're actually being asked to complete, what you're being asked to let go of, from a commitment perspective, so that you can give birth to your soul mission here with that North Node in Cancer by transit. So we can have a look at that in a personal reading for you. If that's something you're called to do at this time. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and sharing. I look forward to seeing how this is resonating for you in the comments.